I'm going to start thanking you now. I thank you that there's a river that my cows can go to because my well's down. I thank you, Lord, that there's a path from my round bale to the river, and they know how to follow it. Lord, there's all kinds of things we can thank you for. Thank you for the air conditioning right here in this building. Lord, I thank you for all the employees that I get to pray with every week in this building. I thank you especially today for our judge and commissioners that you would give them your wisdom, knowledge, discernment, and understanding and the grace to do what you tell them today. Now, Lord, we pray for all those that want to speak and those that speak, Lord, may they speak as best they can for their issues. And Lord, give everybody ears to hear and to do the right thing. We pray for righteousness, that our leaders will be righteous because righteousness exalts a nation. So I pray for righteousness in this crowd. I thank you for those I get to go into their offices and pray for on a weekly basis. Bless each and every one of them. I pray again for the commissioners and their decisions and those who are speaking today that you might get glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Long. We'll have allegiance to the flags.
United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. The protect state under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, I'm going to go to item D1, approve payments of bills. Brittany Ross.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Item D1, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to go to department reports.
I saw him earlier.
Oh. 10.
There he is, right here. That's on the front row.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. Just wanted to, just because there's a lot of questions with the permitting process with the development services, I just want to kind of give the commissioners and the court a quick rundown of what we look for whenever a permit hits our office. So for commercial development permits, the first thing that we do is we do a completeness check. We're making sure they have the survey, the deeds, all the signatures are in the right places, all the paperwork's there. And then once we kind of verify all of those things are good, then we accept that permit with the permitting fee that is paid, and then it goes into that review process, right? Now, the 90% of what we really look for and we have the authority to look for is for floodplains and stormwater damage. So that when that comes into during construction, we call that SW3P, which is the stormwater prevention. Their plan to make sure the runoff of the construction material and their, I guess it's polluted sediments, which is stormwater that's contaminated with construction debris, is properly accounted for, and whether that's through rock filter dams, erosion control logs, silt fences, those things are in place and properly contain drainage, so those materials does not get washed into the creek, it does not get washed into adjacent neighboring properties, things like that. And then on top of that, what we really look for is the various storm events of 25-year, 50-year, 100 years. In those storm events, with the property being fully developed, obviously that adds impervious cover that was before it was not there, and now that's there. So that overall increases stormwater discharge and peak flow discharge during storm events. So typically what's accounted for them is detention ponds, and whether these facilities build adequately sized detention ponds in order to mitigate these risks. And just to kind of give an overview of detention pond is really just a big basin whenever it rains, all the water goes into there and it's discharged at a specific rate, a very specific controlled rate with a weir and with a pipe that's engineered to not exceed the peak flow of the property prior to the development, so that overall we are not increasing the flooding risk with the development in place versus without the development in place. So that's kind of what 90% of what we look for. And then the other 10% is normal site plan stuff, right? And a lot of that stuff we don't necessarily have the statutory authorities to really regulate, but it does not mean that sometimes we don't ask for those things. Am I not speaking? I can speak a little bit louder if that helps. Perfect. As I was saying, there are things that we ask for that are not, I guess, legally we don't have the power to ask for, but a lot of times, including these data centers, is that they're, how do I put it? So they are accommodating to certain asks if it does not cost them arm and a leg. And a lot of times, for example, setbacks, if it's reasonable, they do accommodate those things. So a lot of that stuff is going into the background of these permit reviews. And for the most part, those suggestions that my office makes are being taken into account and integrated into the final plans that are reviewed. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is not something that we can absolutely require. But if they do have, like I said, if it does not cost them an arm and a leg, they are good neighbors. So they do want to be good neighbors. And those things are taken into account and really integrated and into the site plan, right? So with that being said, all of the other permits, for example, the permit from the ESD, we do require, but we do not permit for that. The aqua water certification that they will provide service, we do need to see the proof that there is either a contract or there's some kind of agreement to provide water. But once again, we do not really permit for water. Septic, we do permit for septic. So for a septic tank, whether that's commercial or that's residential, we do permit for that, and that's Eduardo's group that does a lot of that review in conjunction with TCEQ. And that's if it exceeded a certain size of the septic, TCEQ does get review of that. But we do need to see that the proof that I guess the other agencies, whatever their permit is, we do want to see those proof. So that's all I really have today for the court, and I just wanted to see if any of the commissioners or the judge have any questions.
So just to verify, we have no authority over fire and safety. That is ESD 1, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. We do work with the ESD to make sure the site plans and whatever their permit, I guess, whatever satisfies their requirement is integrated into the overall site plan, but we do not have the authority to tell them exactly where to put a fire lane, where to put how to size their fire suppression tanks and things like that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanley. Okay, we're going to move on to citizens' comments. I pulled a few of these out because of Pacifico and all that. We've been talking about it the last two meetings. I'm going to go to the park down in Thousand Oaks. We'll hear from, got one of them here. Christopher Fadley, are you here? I'll go ahead and let you speak on the park. And then I won't just go start going through here randomly. And what we're gonna do this morning, we've got a lot of stuff on the agenda. We gotta do the budget hearing at 9:30, so we're gonna have 3 minutes per person, and we're gonna do this citizens' comments for 30 minutes.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm here regarding item 25, the proposed 25-acre park on Thousand Oaks Drive. My name is Chris, and I live in the Thousand Oaks subdivision. My position today is against this proposal. You wouldn't have known that because nobody ever asked us. And I'm not the only one. I hold 10 signed responses from other Thousand Oaks residents who, to my knowledge, weren't asked either. I don't claim these 10 people represent everyone in Thousand Oaks. They represent themselves. Many residents affected by decisions like this simply cannot be here today. They have jobs, they have families and responsibilities. Some are elderly. Not everyone can take off work, lose income, and spend a Monday here just to make their voice heard about something in their own neighborhood that affects them. Their absence from this room should not be mistaken as their approval. I believe that the people of Thousand Oaks should have been asked this long before today, so over the weekend I asked some of them. These 10 signed responses are some of their answers, and I respectfully ask that their written objections be included with the record for item 25. Just yesterday, Governor Abbott said that the gaining support of local communities is essential when it comes to data center development. I couldn't agree more, but no one asked our community. Thousand Oaks is an acreage subdivision. Many properties are around 5 acres or larger. We already have trees, trails, ponds, open spaces, and more. Cedar Creek already has an established park besides our elementary school. And at approximately 37 acres, that existing park is much larger than the 25-acre park proposed here. So what demonstrated need does this new park fill, and why was Thousand Oaks selected without first asking the people who live there? Which brings me to another concern. Bastrop County's own agenda materials say that this park is proposed for construction by Edge Connex and dedicated to Bastrop County. They also say approval will enable Edge Connex to begin working towards platting. So what does this arrangement accomplish for Edge Connex? Specifically, does this park property create, preserve, or potentially provide any future ingress or egress between Thousand Oaks Drive and Edge Connex development land beyond the park? I'm not claiming that it does. I'm asking for clear answers before this moves forward. If this plan is still conceptual, good, then we're not too late. Today, my answer is no. I'm asking you to table item 25, meet with Thousand Oaks, explain the demonstrated need for this park, explain the relationship between the property and the surrounding Edge Connex development, and give us a clear answer about future access. Most importantly, ask the people who live there what they want before this moves forward. If this project is intended to benefit our community, our opinion shouldn't come after the proposal. It should come before it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're not gonna have any clapping, please. We'll refrain from the clapping, okay? Thank you. Go to second, Alicia Brownie, B-O-R-O-W-Y. Not here. Okay. Janice Isabel. Yep.
I have lived in Thousand Oaks for 50 years. My husband Andy and I built our home there and raised our family there. Now, a data center has been approved to abut our residential neighborhood, a major industrial project to abut our neighborhood. They've come out there and bulldozed the land. You can see them working and pulling up piles of dust that are settling down over my neighbor's children's playscapes. Thousand Oaks is a deed-restricted subdivision, residential only. The smallest lot is 2 acres. Others are 5, 6, up to 25 acres, which is what Edge Connex has come in there and bought. One of our lots that's 25 acres. Y'all knew that. Y'all didn't tell us that. Supposedly, it was posted in the Austin American-Statesman, which is an antiquated way of notifying people what's going to impact their neighborhood. We don't need a park, as Chris said. We have a new park right down the road in Cedar Creek that is underused as it is. A park isolated in a residential neighborhood is an invitation to vagrants, drug dealers, and vandals. There would be no supervision, no police presence. Our deputies that we citizens have been investing in, that Edge Connix has not invested in all these years, that deputies don't need that extra workload. They're having a hard time covering the county as it is. Our deed restrictions are protected by law, and we expect our elected officials to respect them and us. Who is Edge Connix? Who bought our parcel? Are they from Singapore, India, Amsterdam? They haven't invested in our community for 50 years. We invested in our land. We invested in our roads. We invested in our fire department. We invested in all of you. We elected you to act in our best interest because we don't. We have other things that we have to do. We don't want any extra traffic. We don't want any trucks rumbling through our neighborhood. The traffic has gotten so bad that you can hardly get in and out of our subdivision as it is. We don't need them. They need to build their own turning lane to go in there if we can't get them stopped. We just don't need any of this.
Okay.
It's in the improper place.
Ma'am, I hate to stop you, but if you keep talking, well, then we're not going to be able to hear from anybody else.
Thank you so much for your attention to this matter.
Thank you. Samantha Riley. Laura Harvey. Lisa Mitchell. William Mitchell. Edward Ryan. I'm not going to even try to pronounce the first name. Miss Cuba. Teresa Mikulik. Lucy Guys.
Good morning, Commissioners. First off, I would like to start off by thanking Butch and Mark for showing up to our town hall this past Thursday. Thank you for showing up for us. I have 2 agenda items I would like to speak to. First, we have a serious reason to be concerned about Pacifico's air permit. Floodlight and Wired recently reported that 38 Texas data centers had obtained minor air permits for on-site power since 2024. In one example, Vantage Data Center facility near San Antonio was permitted for 99.8 tons of nitrogen oxides per year, 0.02 tons below the 100-ton threshold that triggers more extensive review and public participation. The investigation also found examples of developers obtaining smaller permits and subsequently pursuing much larger expansions. What happens when the emission estimates are wrong? The maximum administrative penalty is $40,000 per day for air pollution violations. On a $2.2 billion project, that's a rounding error, not a meaningful deterrent. Pacifico can absorb the penalty. Our community cannot absorb the consequences. We deserve a seat at the table. We deserve a public hearing or comment period where our voices and concerns can be heard by TCEQ, not some rushed or expedited process to push the permit through. So please urge TCEQ to provide us with a public hearing, disclose their analysis before this fast-tracked loophole air permit is approved. Second, let's talk about property taxes. Before you consider raising the property taxes, I have spent some time researching agricultural valuations in Bastrop County, and I have identified 5 large industrial, energy, and corporate property owners with 13 unique parcel IDs where collectively more than $60 million in property value is receiving in agricultural valuations. Parcels that have been already developed or currently under construction. Let's be clear, this isn't about taking legitimate agricultural exemptions away from farmers and ranchers. Those exemptions exist for a reason, and I support them 100%. That's why these exemptions should exist in the first place. I am asking this court to please direct the appropriate county offices to conduct a systematic review of agricultural evaluations associated with large industrial, energy, space exploration, and corporate property owners, particularly properties that have undergone significant changes in ownership, development, land use, or planned industrial use. Before we raise the taxes on property owners, let's look for revenue that may already be on the books. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We don't have clapping. Thank you. George Priest. And I would be interested to know who the property owners that are getting tax exemptions that are. I appreciate that.
Good morning. My name is George Priest. I've been a firefighter for just over 50 years. Let's start over. Okay. My name is George Priest. I've been a firefighter for just a little over 50 years in Austin and Bastrop County. I've seen a lot of fires caused by machinery, heavy equipment. So I'm here today to ask you folks to consider banning the use of heavy equipment during droughts like right now. Texas is real crazy about their fire statistics. I looked them up and it's just a convoluted mess. But since Abbott wants to bring all the Californians over here, I did look into CAL FIRE. Last year alone, there were 1,600 wildland fires started by heavy equipment. And I've been around what we call dirt people. Those are the guys that work excavators and all that stuff. If the equipment's not maintained, that's when they're more likely to start a fire, and they're not maintained. There's a guy with a grease gun walks around every now and then looking for some zerks. But if those pieces of equipment are not operating, they're not making money, so they run them till they break. And that's when they're more likely to start a fire. There's no code requiring spark arresters on this equipment, and those do prevent the fires. So I'm asking you folks, when you do your burn ban, if you would include heavy equipment in there along with fireworks and then outdoor burning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. Doc Jackson.
Good morning. I am Doc Jackson, and I'm here to, first of all, thank Commissioner Carmack and Commissioner Moit for attending the data centers meeting the other day and for being there to listen to the citizens in the community that maybe weren't able to be here. I've spoken before, and I've said that I oppose data centers in our county, as most of the people that are here and throughout the county have come out and said. But this weekend, I was really moved by some students from a school that's near one of the data centers that's being proposed. They put together a rally, and these were elementary school students. And they came down Main Street, they came down Chestnut Street in Bastrop and ended up at City Hall. And they were opposed to it. And they had the nerve and the courage to come to Bastrop and protest data centers. They were there, and the community came out. They found, I didn't know about it, and so I just happened to be driving by, so I went by and listened to their thoughts. And I posted it on my Facebook page, and it's there about, you can see the kids and their concerns. And if our youth can see that, I don't see why we can't see that this community does not want data centers in it. And I would hope that you could get with our state representatives and our state senator and the other organizations. And if you can't stop it, find out a way that you can make that happen, because it's going to be very detrimental to our community. And I would respectfully ask that you do some research and try to get those centers stopped. I was listening to Governor Abbott over the weekend, and he is beginning, he said Texas was going to be the epicenter of data centers, and he's kind of changed his tune a little bit now with all the revolts and all of the people that are against it across the state. And it's not a party thing. It's just a community thing. It's a thing that the communities across the state are saying they do not want it. And I hope that you all will listen to these voices and also find enough courage and strength and wisdom to go and try to make that, to get with our elected officials at the state and other levels to try to stop that from happening. And so I'm just here to say that that's what I would like for you all to try to do, and I respectfully request that of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. How much time do we have left? Okay, we'll come back to about 15 minutes later. We've got a scheduled 9:30 public hearing, which I'm going to open at 9:30. Public hearing regarding proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. I'm going to open it at 9:30. And the budget, to go over what people we've gave people, different departments. County clerk, gave her a person, communication, team lead communicator. Public health, we made the epidemiologist, it was part-time, we made them a full-time, and we also gave them an office assistant. Justice of Peace Precinct 1, county clerk, court clerk. Wireless communication, IT, gave them a person. GIS analysis, a person. Patrol, Sheriff's Department, 2 patrol deputies. Courthouse security, 1 person. Jail support staff, psychologist. Increased salary, kennel technician, animal control, we gave them 1. And we also, environmental and sanitation, we we went out for bids to do this the way we've been doing it, and it was almost double what we've been paying before. So we decided to hire a haul-in truck driver, and this is kind of misleading, but it's $275,000, but that's the truck and the bins and everything else. That's just not the salary. Associated cost was $203,000. So that's what we've given people. And I'm not going to read all through the budget notes. Look at that. Let's see. We're going to have 15 more minutes of it soon, but when you have a public hearing, you got to do it at the time that it's scheduled, and it's scheduled at 9:30. So that's the reason I opened this public hearing for the budget. Talk about the budget. So as soon as we get finished with this discussion on the budget. And hopefully none of the commissioners don't want to change anything, so. Maybe we
Made
can
a
go
lot
back
of changes
to the-
already.
We've made several changes already, so.
If there's no
Is
comment,
any, public comment from the audience? Good. Did anyone have any comment? Okay. I don't have any. It is what it is. Being no public comment from the audience, I'm gonna close this public hearing at 9:34. And we'll go back to citizens' comments. Elsie Dayton, are you here?
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Elise Dayton. I live near Rosenke, Texas. I want to start by telling you what I did this weekend. My husband and my kids and I, we participated in the Children of the Forest March here in Bastrop, Texas, organized by 8-year-old twins who go to Earth Native Wilderness School, which borders the Pacifico Project. I'm sure you'll know. I've participated in many, many protests over the past 2 decades, but I can honestly say I've never experienced one that was received as positively as this one. Of course, our children are adorable, that helps, but I noticed something deeper. People of all kinds honked and waved their approval at us. A rancher in his big red truck tipped his cowboy hat. A grandmother in her Lincoln gave us 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Someone's rowdy uncle revved his muscle car and raised a fist of solidarity. What struck me is that these are people who from the outside do not look like they would agree on anything. Yet I am witnessing a profound sense of deep agreement building in Bastrop County. When I found out the scale, the location, and the extreme nature of the Pacifico proposal, it was like getting punched in the gut. And when I share those details with others, they react similarly. Over and over again, I witness the same confusion and disbelief. I hear, wait, is this really happening? Why here? This does not make any sense. And I think that reaction is very important for you to understand, because I'm not here today to just ask you to oppose one particular project. I am asking that you not underestimate your role as our elected representatives. I am concerned that we are beginning this conversation from the assumption that the county's hands are tied, that our authority is limited, that there isn't much we can do, and that we, the ordinary people, must simply find a way to accommodate this project. I don't think we should start with capitulation resolutions. The stakes are much too high. You were elected to represent the people who live here, who have built their lives and families here, who love the land they have worked so hard to have. And these constituents are counting on you to investigate every avenue available to protect this community, our land, our water, our children, our dreams of a future in this place. This isn't one group or one neighborhood. It's not just environmentalists or people who oppose development. There are people with very different political beliefs, very different priorities who are looking at this project and asking the same question. Are you, our elected officials, going to use every bit of authority available to you to protect our county? Or are we going to be told that there's simply nothing we can do? I urge you to choose the former. I urge you to amend item 8 and request that TCEQ evaluate the complete Pacifico facility as one source. I urge you to insist on transparency and meaningful public participation in these projects, rather than allowing a project of this scale to move forward through a process that ordinary citizens don't have a fair opportunity to participate in. I'm almost done. I urge you to remember that we, your constituents, will have to live with the devastating environmental consequences of this project and all the broken dreams that accompany it. The Pacifico strategists in their Patagonia vests and their glass offices in California will not. Thank you.
Thank you. Please refrain. Kelly Brett, B-R-E-T-T.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time and continued attention to this topic. My name is Kelly Brett. I live on Dairy Road, just around the corner from the proposed Pacifico project, power plant and data center, hyperscale. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a firefighter. What I've done for the last month is read the county's own permit files and reviewed hundreds of pages of Pacifico's own site plans, the engineer drawings. Throughout my research, I've noticed a pattern. The pattern is this. Every time the project is described to a body that can say no, it shrinks. Every time it's drawn by an engineer who has to build it, it's full size. So the issue here is that when the narrative says one thing and the engineering drawings say another, the drawing is what gets built. Look, that's a lot of paperwork. I get it. My eyes are going cross after a couple of days. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything. What I am saying is that when the paperwork and the drawings disagree, the drawings are what gets built. And the county has the authority to ask which one is correct. Call a spade, y'all. Let's talk about Schrodinger's data center. One day it's a data center, one day it's not, depending on which day you look at it and which paperwork you look at. On July 9th, it was touted in the JEDI application as a co-located hyperscale data center campus. On July 23rd, not a data center. Their supplemental application, no portion of this project would be a data center, blah, blah, blah. Data center would be owned, operated, financed by a third party, no ownership interest in or operational control over the data center. That's what they claim. Same month. On August 4th, a permit was issued by Bastrop County from Ms. Marlene Flores. It was for the BCG Cedar Creek campus data center mass grading. Now it's a data center again. On or after the 20th, just a few days ago, Pacifico published its own little fact sheet. In their own words, we're building a purpose-built data center campus of 2 buildings with supporting site infrastructure. Schrodinger's data center. This isn't a matter of he said, she said. This is a matter of what gets said versus what gets drawn. I know that everyone in this room is working unpaid overtime on this project. I get it. I appreciate the ones who have been able to show up. I know you can't do a full quorum. I also appreciate the ones of you who have signed the Bastrop petition. We know you have some no zoning. We know you have no zoning authority and other limitations that come from being unincorporated. We're asking you to pull the levers that you do have. Please add language to item 8 or convene a special meeting to pass it. Ask TCEQ to explain the basis for eligibility and to make it public before the decision. Well done. To anyone who's listening
you.
with Pacifico,
Thank you.
we don't want that infrastructure. We moved out here on purpose to avoid it. Thank you.
Thank you. Myrnie Santana.
Good morning, Commissioners. For those of you who went to our town hall meeting last week, thank you for going, and we will definitely invite you to the one that's coming up. My name is Mary Santana, and I'm here today as a concerned resident. This community has been working to understand the proposed Pacifico data center and natural gas generation project. Over the last several weeks, this community has shown that we are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for transparency, accountability, and a meaningful opportunity for the public to participate in decisions that will affect us for decades. We have heard repeatedly that Bastrop County has limited authority over this project, and we understand that. But limited authority does not mean we don't have a voice. That is why I'm asking the court to take one very specific action today. Pacifico has withdrawn its applications for local and state tax incentives. That means one of the avenues where the public had the opportunity to examine this project is no longer on the table. What remains is the air permit. According to TCEQ's own permitting framework, there are different levels and types of air authorization with different levels of review and public participation. TCEQ recognizes that case-by-case new source review permits involve technical review of emissions, health impacts, and best available control technology, along with public notice and opportunities for participation where required. We're not asking this court to deny Pacifico's permit. We're not asking this court to make TCEQ's decision. We are asking you to ask and demand on behalf of us to TCEQ that they look at this project for what it actually is. This is not a small commercial operation. We are talking about a proposed large-scale natural gas electric generating facility associated with a massive hyperscale data center development. A project of this magnitude deserves an air permitting process that fully examines its emissions, cumulative impacts, health implications, and the appropriate pollution controls, and gives the affected community, us, a meaningful opportunity, and you too, to understand the proposed and to be heard. So today I'm asking the Commissioners Court to do two things. First, please add language to item A requesting that TCEQ evaluate the Pacifico generating facility under the appropriate major source case-by-case permitting requirements and provide the maximum level of public participation available under Texas law. Second, if that language cannot be added today, I ask this court to convene a special meeting as soon as legally permissive to consider and adopt a separate resolution making that request to TCEQ. Commissioners, you have told us that there are things this county cannot legally do, and we really do understand that. But this is something that you can do. You can use your voice, the voice of this Commissioners Court, to tell the state of Texas that Bastrop County expects transparency, and not only do we expect it, we deserve it.
Thank you. Okay. Nick Lilos.
Thank you. I will definitely take these 3 minutes. I appreciate the attendance at our last town hall concerning the Pacifico project by some members of this court. And I'm going to talk about something a little different. We've heard a lot of passionate comments now, but I'm going to talk about money for a second. So in the withdrawal of their request for tax abatement to this body and from their JEDI application, it appears based on the reporting I've seen that Pacifico is forfeiting around $200 million, $20 million a year for 10 years, right? And so I think we have to ask ourselves what they are purchasing with that $200 million. They're purchasing an exemption essentially from any form of public process, because if they come to you asking for tax abatements, we'd be having a public hearing and getting more information. If they'd gone through the JEDI process, they'd have to get approval from the school board, if I'm not mistaken. So in fact, what they have done is effectively immunize themselves from any meaningful opportunity of the public to make their voice heard and to ask for transparency or effective protections in this process. This is why asking this court, adding language to item number 8, to ask TCEQ to do a major source permit to provide a maximal degree of public participation is critical, because if not, we could see these facilities rise in the dead of night with no public input, no transparency, and be living with the consequences for decades. I take this court at its word that it does not believe it possesses county zoning authority or general authority to stop this project, but therefore it is critical that you use your voice in item number 8 to ask TCEQ to do what you claim you cannot: provide the public openness, discussion, and an opportunity to make a meaningful impact in this discussion. Since I might have a few seconds left, I would also say that when transmitting this resolution, assuming it passes to the governor's office, you ask what meaningful gestures you can do, since his directive to PUC and ERCOT was specifically to protect rural neighborhoods. I think this fits the bill of a rural neighborhood, right? I think many of us would agree with that. What has his directive done to empower you as a county court to actually take those meaningful measures? Absolutely nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do one more. Maria Vlasic.
Hello, and thank you for your service. So I'm just going to speak to the environmental effects of having a gas-powered electrical plant in Bastrop County. And I'm just going to quote the EPA, what they say about basically that this is it's an almost, they don't say this, I'm paraphrasing what they say. It's an almost obsolete technology that's not even used that much anymore. And environmental impacts are. I'll be very quick about this. Okay, how's that? All right. So first of all, I'm going to cough a little bit because the people that live that will be living around this power plant, they may be coughing if the data from the EPA is any indication. So basically, what does it say? All right, there are more than, I'm not going to read all of this, do not worry. So there are more than 3,400 fossil fueled fired power plants in the U.S. Collectively, they produce nitric oxide, sulfur dioxide emissions, significant source of mercury, fine particle emissions. Fossil fuel-fired power plants are also a significant source of carbon dioxide, an important greenhouse gas. And then it goes on to describe the negative effects of nitrous oxide. It goes on to describe the negative effects of sulfur dioxide and its adverse effects on human health and ecosystems. And then it goes on to describe elevated concentrations of ground-level ozone and fine particles, which research shows aggravate heart and lung disease, can lead to heart attacks, asthma attacks, stroke, increase susceptibility to respiratory infections, and et cetera, et cetera. So all I'm saying is that it's incredibly important that if Pacifico does indeed follow through with this project, that they have the best available technology for this obsolete approach to energy production, so that the neighboring community does not suffer from asthma and heart attacks, et cetera. And then the only other factor that I think is really important is noise pollution. And and I could read that one too, but I won't, because it's probably obvious that if it's legal to make noise up to 85 decibels, and that's the sound of a lawnmower, if you live your life with lawnmowers in your head constantly, you're not going to be a very happy, healthy person. And so anyway, do your best to see that TCEQ has to do a major permit on this, and appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we're gonna go close on citizens' comments and go on. Well, we're done, because we've heard about Pacifico for the last 3 commissioners' court meetings, so we're not gonna go any further. That's enough.
May I say one thing briefly? I'd like to say that I know we talked about this in the last couple of weeks. This affects the rest of our lives.
I understand that.
Secondly, I'd like to remind you of the rules of procedure. And that's exceptional interest or made by majority vote of members of the board in attendance at the meeting, either shorter or length of the time allocated to a particular member of the public, all members of the public, and or the amount of time allocated to other comment.
Yes, sir, I understand that. That says the commissioners' court, so I'll call, I don't, well, but yeah, please, we need to have order. I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna ask y'all all to leave, and then y'all come back a little bit later on. So we need to have order in here. This commissioners' court is being led by the commissioners' court. It's not being, y'all really don't have a say-so as far as what we do in commissioners' court.
With all due respect, y'all.
It's not going to do any good to keep.
Listen, you're making an assumption that you know where these people are at. You're making a big mistake. Please, order in this court.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm hearing comments. I'm sorry, but all of these are about the same thing. And I don't understand. Well, yes, ma'am, they are, but I do not understand where it's going to do any good to keep listening to this. We keep hearing the same thing. Y'all want to speak? Yeah.
With all due respect.
Huh?
With all due respect.
She sent the email.
Huh?
She sent the email to us just today. She wants to. With all due respect, I'm not here just to say what I'm upset about. I'm here to present a solution. That's something different than what you've heard so far, yes? And if you gave more time to people, you would find out maybe some of us do have more solutions. So will
Okay.
you give me 3 minutes?
Under our adopted rules of procedure, I'm going to make a motion that we extend the public comment for 15 more minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor? That's
Aye.
enough. That's enough.
Thank
enough.
you.
Do we have, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Proceed.
I'm sorry if I cut off anybody who was ahead of me, but I just felt like,
Can you state your name? Are you okay?
I'm disabled. Give me a moment. Good morning, Judge Klaus and Commissioners. My name is Jenai Merrick, a resident of Cedar Creek. A few of you may recall my remarks at the recent town hall regarding the hyper-industrialization of our rural community. I'm here today to follow up on that commitment and formally request an unprecedented action from this court. I am asking the Bastrop County Commissioners Court to draft, sign, and submit a unified countywide letter to the Texas legislature. This letter must urge the state to permanently disown unincorporated land by amending Chapter 231 of the Texas Local Government Code. Our goal is simple: grant rural Bastropians the legal authority to decide if, when, and where massive industrial campuses are constructed in our neighborhoods. Currently, the legislature grants zoning powers only to a select counties near military bases, lakes, or airports. However, the scale of modern data center campuses warrants the same consideration. We know that Hood County stands as the only Texas county to ever be granted broad land use and zoning authority by the state. If Hood County can secure these protections, Bastrop can and should as well. The Texas Association of Counties is already advocating for legislation to give local officials a formal voice in data center placement. By signing this letter, the court would align Bastrop with that growing movement and amplify our voice in Austin. A unified call from all 5 commissioners' court members carries significantly more weight than individual concerns. I have prepared a draft of this letter for your review, one that recognizes the state statutes and laws while identifying the appropriate amendments necessary for Bastrop's goal. I also intend to circulate a petition among Bastropians to accompany this legislative call to action, demonstrating that this is not just a few voices, but the voices of our entire county. I respectfully request that this item be placed on a future agenda for discussion at the county judge and commissioner, and that the county judge and commissioners consider signing this appeal to the legislature. We cannot wait for state mandates to protect our future. We must proactively demand the tools to manage it ourselves. Thank you for your time, your service, and your commitment to preserving Bastrop County. You have my email, and I look forward to your answers as soon as possible. I am prepared to provide you with a fuller scope of my proposal at your convenience. Bastrop strong.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I'm not going to go through this list. I heard a lady out there say she had a solution. I would like to hear what you've got to. Oh, that was you? Okay. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm hearing so much stuff up here, it's kind of hard to sink all of this in, so I'm sorry. J. Cameron Allen.
Commissioners, Judge, good morning. My name is Cameron Allen. I'm an 8th-generation Texan, small farmer, father, husband, and proud resident of Cedar Creek. My 10-year-old daughter rests her head 1.5 miles away from the Pacifico plant site. I've spoken to you folks in public and private over the last month about Pacifico's 710 megawatt natural gas power plant and co-located data center in Cedar Creek. Things have certainly changed with the Chapter 312 and Jetty application off the table. However, the message to you remains the same. Fight for us. Fight for this land. Pacifico is scared. They canceled their presentation in today's public meeting. They withdrew probably upwards of $200 million in tax breaks to not have to defend their plan in front of Bastrop citizens. They didn't appear to attend Saturday's march and rally organized by 2 local 8-year-olds from the Earth Native Wilderness School. They're also reasonably scared that the January legislative session will likely put some guardrails up to defend rural Texas against dishonest, bad faith actors. Finally, they've expedited their TCEQ permit for air pollution, choosing a smaller permit avenue that precludes public comment or sharing of documents. At every step of the way, they've avoided disclosure and transparency and instead flip-flopped and altered their project to squeeze through bureaucratic gaps. All that said, we need them to be scared of you too. Your voices, for better or for worse, carry more weight than ours do. Such is the result of being elected to public office. It is your responsibility to represent the people of Bastrop County. That the Chapter 312 abatement was withdrawn does not let you off the hook. Here's how you can support the community. First, add language to item number 8, demanding that TCEQ treat Pacifico consistent with what they are, a major environmental and public health risk, a major source of new emissions. Push for public hearings, document disclosures, and strong protections included in any permit that's issued. If you proceed with item number 8 as written today, we ask you convene a meeting as soon as possible, passing a resolution that urges TCEQ to consider Pacifico's development under the major source air permit process. After all, Bastrop's own power plant, nearly 100 megawatts smaller, has the major source air permit. Second, align yourself with surrounding counties, their commissioners and judges, to collectively call on Governor Abbott to declare immediate and indefinite moratorium on all power plant and data center projects until either a special session or the January session begins. With all due respect, a member of this commission literally invited these projects into our county. As to whether or not that member feels remorseful for having done so is none of my business, but I ask you to pull your focus out of the minutia and think logically about 2 questions. 1, would you ever personally do business with someone who is obscure, secretive, and seemingly intent on betting a bank to ram a project through with as little oversight as possible? 2, if the vast majority of Bastrop citizens, people of all ages, incomes, education levels, and political leanings disagree vehemently with the development, what more motivation do you need to stand up and fight? Thank you.
Thank you. Please, no clapping, please. Ellen Sue Rochet.
I'm going to change the subject from Pacifico. I live off of Thousand Oaks Road, and so I am here to question the plans for a county a county park in our area. We actually are a neighborhood with deed restrictions, and we feel, my neighbors and I feel that those deed restrictions have been violated in the sale to Edge Connect. And we are in the process of hiring legal counsel. We've talked with Lauren Ice and her firm, and they're supposed to get back to us by the end of this week. I've also spoke to Commissioner Muth the other day at the town hall, and he said he would look into the deed restrictions before anything else goes forth. We feel that that property was purchased by Edge Connect, and the title just filed a few weeks ago. First a holding company and then Edge Connect, that they needed access to a public road. And they wanted to do it right through our subdivision. But the very first deed restriction on our restrictions is that this is a residential community, and all land should be used for residential purposes. And you can have animals, you can have your own small business, but there needs to be a residence. So we are proceeding in that regard, and we would ask that you hold on this county, thank you, Linda, that you hold on the county park and going forward until these issues are resolved. And you heard earlier that even if we're wrong about the deed restrictions, we deserve a hearing on whether there's a county park at the far back of our subdivision. And that's what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You were the next on the list here.
You just happen to be right
Just
there.
happened to be the next one on the list, David Moore.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'll make my comments as briefly as possible, but I want to first off say that in 2011, we all remember about the Bastrop complex wildfires and the devastation and heartbreak that it caused. Shortly thereafter, the Union Chapel fire started in my neighborhood, which is incidentally 3 miles from the Pacifico project, but I won't go there. My comments to the court today, including adding today's burn ban, if you would consider it, to order restrictions on operating certain machinery during the burn ban conditions. Under severely dry conditions, clearing brush and woodland and with heavy equipment poses a significant risk of fire, just like we all know that tractors with shredders do. How many fires have we had started in the last 10 years by tractors with shredders? Shredders hit a rock, they start a spark, so can bulldozers and excavators. With equipment such as excavators and bulldozers, the metal tracks and blades on these machines come in contact with rock and create sparks, thus possibly igniting flammable materials nearby. This is a real risk. In order to expand protections to human life and property, I request that the court restrict the operation of certain types of commercial earth-moving equipment as an addition to today's burn ban. Section 352.081 of the Texas Local Government Code does not appear to exempt machine-restarted fires during a burn ban. In addition to this restriction of machinery operation, I request that aggressive enforcement rules be initiated. To further increase enforcement effectiveness, I request that the court declare emergency conditions exist and, under emergency powers, increase burn ban violation fines significantly higher than the current legal limit. I'm sorry, folks. There we go. So what I'm saying is, I would respectfully request that you consider ruling that emergency conditions do exist in this county during all burn bans, and that you do have the authority. I would like for you to determine if you do have the authority to set a fine higher than $500 when violations are in connection with commercial operation of heavy equipment. In the case that emergency powers can't be used, I encourage the court to increase burn ban violation fees to be increased as much as legally possible to reduce the risk of devastating fires in our county. Again, I request that restrictions on operating certain machinery during a burn ban be included in the court's burn ban issued today. Thank you very much, and God bless Texas.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. 3 minutes. Okay, well, Michelle Greer.
Got it here.
There's a lot of people here who want to talk, so I want to make sure they have time. I'm here, my friend Haley asked me to do this. I'd like to ask that you convene a special session as soon as possible under the Open Meetings Act to pass a resolution asking TCEQ to consider Pacifico under the major source air permit process. If Texas can't call a moratorium on data centers, then Bastrop County should fight for the authority to do so. And I second whatever the lady with the black shirt and glasses said. We should do that. My name is Michelle Greer. If I'm new to you, I have 17 years of experience in cloud computing infrastructure. That might make me public enemy number one for a lot of folks here, but I can't sell server access if we've destroyed the land, the water, and the air that is used to grow the food I eat. Apparently, Abbott is mesmerized by the prospects of tax revenues from data centers And I'd be lying if I said that they haven't brought in tax revenues. If, and I caveat this with a big if, they plan to be there for decades and the infrastructure's there. Virginia residents have a say into the build-outs of these, and there's actual regulation and monitoring of impacts of these projects because they're major projects and we need to treat them that way. But the Virginia case study that the data center lobbies often tout is not what we're dealing here. We're dealing with cloud workloads for cryptocurrency and AI, and these take 10x the resources of a standard server rack like you see in Virginia, according to Hanwha, which is what? A data center company. And it's expected that this demand will grow 2x in the next decade. So these people are asking for resources that don't exist on our grid and can't. And I wish our legislators understood more about the workloads that we are choosing to bring on into Texas. So Texas has already given its land, its electricity, and its water to AI data centers. So now, instead of asking an industry that spends 200% more than it makes, which is documented in SEC filings from Amazon, Oracle, and all the other cloud major providers, we want to fast track their permitting process so that they can take not just our electricity, but our air too. People applaud Abbott's bring your own power approach, but I bet you they'd have very different opinions if they had a 710 megawatt power plant in their backyard. EPA studies show that power plants emit gases that cause respiratory issues and neurological disorders. And I can say that because I don't have oil and gas donors who ensure that I don't say it. We know this. We know this is bad for our air. This is an industry that is asking for more and more and more. And as long as we continue to give it to them, they will take it. That is how my industry works. So my industry is burning through cash, not because they have to, but because they're getting free money. They're getting free money from Texas taxpayers. The AI companies are getting free money from the hardware companies. And we need to stop this immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Before, when there was going to be a tax abatement, Pacifico asked for, they said they would do certain things for us. One of the things was, do what? Well, I'm going to make this statement too. Before they said that they would, where Earl Callahan hits Highway 20, they said they would put turn lanes and everything else, which would be for the safety of the people. We can't, well, if you have a wreck right there, and that's a bad intersection. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. And they said, the state said that they would not put those turn lanes there. So now I don't know what'll happen at Highway 20 and Earl Callahan. So, okay, we're going to move on to the following items are for discussion and possible action.
Have any of you signed non-disclosure agreements with?
I'll be the first to answer no and never have. It's against the law for us to sign one.
No. I hadn't signed anything.
We all know that.
No, I hadn't signed anything. No, sir. No, sir.
And we haven't taken any money either.
Exactly.
That's enough questions. Sit
Yeah.
down. That's enough questions. We're not answering questions.
No more.
It's not legal to sign a non-disclosure. We're not taking money. Okay, I'm done. Sit down. Sit down.
That's enough. Okay. The following items are for discussion and possible action. Approved minutes of the previous meeting. Krista Barch.
A motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Item D2, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item D3, approve personal bonds, if any. Krista Barch.
Continuation certificates for Isaac Formato, John P. Deason, Mitchell Dworsky, Joseph Hurtado, Robert A. Morgan, Charles Petco, Matt Pelosi, all as deputy sheriff.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Item D3, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item D4, burn ban order, Judge Klaus and Hillary Long. Is Hillary? Yeah. she is.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to speak about the proposed burn ban on the agenda that, if approved, will go into effect at 5 p.m. tonight. Y'all are going to have to excuse me because I grabbed the wrong notes off of my queue. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I apologize for that. Yesterday, the Keach-Byram Drought Index, or the KBDI, daily average for Bastrop County was 653. The minimum KBDI was 603, and the maximum was 687. As a reminder, the KBDI is a scale from 0 to 800, where 0 represents complete soil saturation, and 800 represents absolute dry conditions. Again, the Bastrop County average was 653 yesterday. The 14-day KBDI average was 602, and over the past 14 days, the KBDI has increased an average of 8 points per day. The national weather forecast, it says that hot and dry weather patterns will continue, and there's a minimal chance of rain. Based on the KBDI, along with the critical wildfire potential information from the Texas A&M Forest Service's predictive services, recent fire activity, and a unanimous recommendation from all 6 of our fire chiefs, the Bastrop County Office of Emergency Management supports issuing a burn ban order effective at 5 o'clock today. This order prohibiting outdoor burning shall remain in effect through Monday, September 14th. And I'm available for any questions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Item D4, thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.
Item D4, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item D5, 2026, 2027, Bastrop County holiday schedule. Lindsay Schrader.
Good morning. We have the holiday schedule for the Bastrop County, aside from Road and Bridge. Aside from Road and Bridge crews, this is the county schedule that will be officing Bastrop County employees. We don't have Juneteenth or July 4th on there because those fall on a Saturday, so we've moved those days to personal days, so we have a total of 4 personal days.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Item D5, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item D6, 2026, 2027, Bastrop County Road and Bridge holiday schedule. Lindsay.
This is the Road and Bridge schedule. We've gotten feedback from the commissioners where they do not like to start their week and then have a holiday if they're paving, whatever it is that they're doing. They don't like to stop those in the middle of the week. So we've included those in their personal days, and they have 8 personal days, totaling 130 hours.
Just less mandated holiday.
Correct.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Item D6, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Item D7, order setting Commissioners Court meeting dates for fiscal year 26-27. Lindsay.
This is the typical order that we do every year. I have listed the second and fourth Mondays of the months, with the exception of June 7th. I have asterisk on here that the week that it would have been scheduled was June 14th through the 17th, and historically all of the commissioners and the judge like to attend the South Texas County Judges and Commissioners Annual Conference in the South Texas area, and sometimes we are lacking a quorum, and so somebody will have to stay behind. So this allows everybody to attend if they want to.
Motion to approve. Second.
Item D7, we have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item D8, a resolution of the Commissioners Court of Bastrop County, Texas, declaring statutory limitations on county regulatory authority over development, outlining the environmental risks of unregulated large-scale industrial projects, and petitioning the Texas Legislature for expanded regulatory powers for Texas counties. Commissioner Cormack.
Yeah, this is a resolution that we had on the previous court that we amended and changed some verbiage on there. This is a resolution that was on the previous court. Oh, well, there we go. Is that better? This resolution on the previous court, we tabled it, changed some verbiage on there, and brought it back with some input from some attorneys. And this thing's just stating that, you know, we're asking the state to give us more authority over these projects. And a lot of it, like that young lady that suggested that a minute ago that came up here, it's for that reason. There's some stuff in there about tax abatements, you know, making it kind of our only option to regulate anything, you know, and I just kind of want to say on that, y'all, by your own admission, by them pulling their 312 application, now we're blind. Does that make sense? I mean, we don't have any idea what they're doing now. And with that abatement is what I've been trying to explain to people all the time. The contract end of those abatements are where we can hold these people's feet to the fire. Without the abatement, just like by your own admission, now we don't have a clue. So when we talk about tax abatements, we are literally putting the stuff in there to protect our communities. And it's more about the contract than it is about the money. I mean, you're taking a cow pasture that's paying what, $2,500, $4,000 a year in taxes. And even with the abatement now, they'd be paying millions of dollars in taxes. So are we losing money? No. Do we have a contract in place to protect our citizens? Yes. So when we put this in our resolutions and we talk about these things, we're doing it for the good of the county. We're not just giving money away for no reason. So everybody needs to understand that. And by your own admissions, by pulling the abatement, now we're in the dark. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
No.
Okay.
So having said that, this resolution is asking the state of Texas to give us more authority on these projects, and just to go from there.
Well, I'd add that we took court action a few months ago to actually hire specialized legal legislative assistants to work with some of our neighboring counties. Of course, we have the Texas Association of Counties. We've been working with them session after session after session after session on these same exact issues. You know, we've been asking for commercial development permitting authority for decades. The data centers kind of brought this to the forefront of the discussion, and I feel like in this session, if we're ever going to get any commercial development regulatory authority, it will be this session, or it won't be at all. But this is not a new discussion. This is just a discussion that's become extremely highlighted by way of data centers. We've been struggling with this for decades. I've been involved with flood development services department of the county since I've been in office, whether it's floodplain management, platting authority, all those things. Platting authority 232 of the local government code, it really isn't bad. We have pretty decent regulatory authority as it relates to chapter 232 and subdivision of land. So we can regulate homeowners, but commercial development is extremely limited in our ability. If you're not subdividing land and you're just putting an industrial, retail, commercial, what have you, development on a piece of land and you're not subdividing it, like we've been saying, we driveway, yep. Stormwater runoff, all those things related to making sure you don't flood your neighbor, good regulatory authority. But things like quality of life, like setbacks, dark sky lighting, sound levels, other than the state 85 decibels, de nada. We have none of that. And so, the legislature created Chapter 312, which are tax abatements. They created it, not us, okay? And it puts us in a competition with our neighbors, right? That's what it does. But at the same time, it empowers the county to some extent to your ability to negotiate a good deal, to get some of those quality of life issues addressed. I've mentioned it before. I think a good one that we did was the RWE Big Star Solar Farm, which right now actually we're doing an audio study to determine whether or not they're in compliance with their abatement agreement to hold their feet to the fire. If they fail that test, they're going to get a bill for the audio testing. But I'll remind you that RWE is now building 2 more solar farms in the county, one down there near Edge Connects, and then one on the county line north of 71 as you're headed towards Travis County. Those 2 projects, they did not approach the county for an abatement. They didn't. They just applied for their development permit. We reviewed the things that Tanley was just talking about at the beginning of court to make sure they're in compliance with state statutes, and we issued the permit, which is a shall. It's not a discretionary authority. Kind of rambled there, but it's pretty frustrating on our end too, y'all. And we have been going to the legislature, to our state reps and our senators and our Texas Association of Counties, which has a whole host of lawyer lobbyists. Now we're hiring individual lobbyists. I know Hayes County has done it. Caldwell County has done it. Bastrop County has done it. Williamson County has done it. Hired separate counsel to try to lobby the legislature to get some regulatory authority, particularly as it relates to commercial development. It's not new. It's just a bigger problem now. I wanted to mention one other thing as it relates to this request from the legislature. I live in Smithville, way east part of the county, and there's a little power plant over there in Fayette County, 1,690 megawatt coal plant, all right? Been spewing emissions for decades, owned by LCRA. Just to put it in perspective, okay? It emits 1,097 kilograms per megawatt. A power plant like on the county line, the gas-fired power plant, or the Lost Pines power plant that's also owned by LCRA on 21, 490 grams of CO2 per kilowatt. 1,097 kilograms, 490 grams. And I live pretty close to the Fayette power plant. And I raise my kids here, okay? And LCRA pays no taxes, zero, de nada, okay? And this has been a problem for a long time. So these gas-fired power plants, yes, they emit. I understand that, but they're exponentially cleaner than the Fayette coal plant that's been spewing emissions for decades, right in my back door, and paying no taxes. Just want to point it out. perspective, okay? That's my perspective from where I sit. Okay? I'm just saying, and I have a perspective, and it's a lot different. And I feel like I'm getting gypped over there, okay? And have been for decades. So I support this resolution, and I would make a motion that we send this to our legislators.
I'll second it.
Thank
Sorry.
you. And,
You brought it to court. I'm sorry, Butch.
yeah.
All good. I was gonna say the same.
And what I was trying to tell you a while ago, but people keep talking and wouldn't listen. But after we found out that we had no authority on the tax abatement, that's when I went to the state and asked them if we have any authority to try to get the approachment to Highway 20 safer. They said they would give us that before they said they wouldn't do a tax abatement. Now, we don't know if we're going to get anything out of it. So that's what I was trying to make it clear, but people kept hollering at me and snickering. But I just wanted to make that clear because I travel Highway 20. It's a bad entry there at Earl Callahan Road. So item D8, we have a motion and a second to approve this resolution. Any further discussion? Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item D9, accept a grant award for the THC, Texas Historical Courthouse Prevention Program. Nicole Moore.
Good morning. So we did get word from THC that we received the award for the courthouse preservation program in the amount of $10 million, which is the cap, legislative cap that they can provide to a county, which would leave anything in excess up to us, since the match does $1 million in requests to the THC, and they only had $100 million appropriation. And we were one of the lucky recipients of this. However, we have not